Yeah, I went to a funeral a couple of weeks ago, and it was pretty fun, actually. It was good. It was a good time. Funny thing happened to me at a funeral. I made this widowed gentleman laugh at what must have been one of the most difficult times in his life, and it felt pretty good. He's pretty sick, though. I was talking about necrophilia, and he thought I was making some kind of joke. He thought it was hilarious. I was just venting and complaining about the night before when I met his wife. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go in that direction. She was pretty stiff, too.
Hello, hello, and welcome, one and all, once again to the Snide Show. I am your host, as always, Cornelius Edward Snider. Unfortunately, you will be missing our beautiful visages tonight. I'm joined today with...
I'm Ry Snider, host of Ry 5. I'm on here on the Snide Show. And also we got a great guest here today.
Yeah, long-lost brother of Jeff Bridges, I believe. Is that right?
I'm actually related to Ludacris Chris Bridges.
That makes more sense. That makes more sense, actually, now that you mention it. Yeah. We are blessed today to have with us just a comic that's, as soon as I heard his first 5 minutes, I just immediately, you were right on first on the guest list for this. Once we were able to start opening things up a little bit more, man. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. I met you at the Happy Skunk when you guys had a show there with some of my friends. And you were very nice and very welcoming, and I really appreciate you having me.
Yeah, man. I mean, when Zach, the mullet influencer, vouches for someone and their hilarity and their presence, I gotta go with it, man. That was our first sort of like test show, and we're excited to have you on for the next Snide Show Live. Hopefully, the first of many this year. Another one there at the Skunk Club. Hopefully going to have that the sound a little better for that, but other than that, that was a great test run, and from there, hopefully we'll start, stepping around, the local market, shopping our wares here. I hope the other folks are as enthusiastic to meet us as you have been, Joe. And in the chats, man, if folks go back and play some of those lives, he threw some great punchlines in there. Just some good punch-ups, man. I'm excited to see, because we got some Topical Punch here tonight, but I didn't even prep it, and I'm just excited to see what you got for it. But first, I've got some questions here for you. Just kind of trying to, we over here spinning a lot of plates at Snide Studios, trying a lot of different things, and I've been working on interviewing a couple of folks and stuff. So if you'll be another guinea pig for this experiment here on the Hot Scoop, the new segment here on Snide Studios, the Hot Scoop. It's not the hot seat. It's the Hot Scoop.
Nice.
Cool.
Love that.
Yeah, if it was the hot seat, I'd be a little intimidated. But scoop sounds delicious.
Scoop.
Yeah, so a little
So with that wording, I feel like you should feel nurtured. Like when you're being scooped.
I'm actually in my kitchen right now. I have a professional kitchen.
Yo,
Where I am, so there's plenty of scoops around me.
Dude, I wish the cameras were working. I wish the fucking I could have gotten the fucking camera feeds to work.
Yeah, I got
For those that don't know, I mean, he's got masks and props. You'll just have to use your imagination.
Yeah, there's a Freddy Krueger mask and a poop puppet and a pig's head on the wall. This is a fun place.
Oh my!
Dude,
Is that all in your professional kitchen?
Yeah, I'll send you guys.
man.
Oh, I love that.
Fuck,
Yeah, maybe if Joe's willing, maybe next episode that'd be great.
Yeah, this is going to be again one of many.
Absolutely.
So yeah, let me scoop up some questions here. So, Joe, what inspired you to get started in stand-up comedy, like to pursue this craft?
Oh, really? It was a comedy club opening close to me. I grew up in Miami, and the comedy scene down there is pretty bad. I mean, I haven't been there for the last 8 years, but like the open mic scene and everything was like very competitive, and it just didn't feel very welcoming. And I would go to shows. I went to a lot of comedy shows, and I went to a lot of open mics, but I never wrote or performed anything. And club opened up here in Bristol. I live in Damascus, Virginia. It's about 30 minutes away from Bristol. And Blue Ridge Comedy Club opened, and I started going to the open mics and became friends with a lot of the people who were performing and the owner of the club. And he was encouraging me to go up quite a bit. And it took me several months before I like gathered the nerve to actually go up and do it.
Wow, with the confidence you've got, I can't imagine that. Wow.
I've only been doing comedy a little more than a year.
Wow. That is just shocking to me. That's shocking to me, man.
It's just because I'm 40 and I'm bald and I'm old and know how to deliver a fucking joke.
What have I got to lose, right?
Yeah. I'm the only Jew in the area, so I'm already a target.
Well, or a commodity.
Well, for the comedy community, I'd hope.
And the baker.
Yeah, that's actually how I ingratiated myself to everybody in the area here, because everybody loves cheesecake and cookies.
Ah, I see. Took a good play from the playbook. Took a good play from the playbook.
But then when I started doing an open mic here in town, it is very sparsely attended, despite my local notoriety. Maybe if I would have said like free cheesecake, people would have come out.
Yo,
but
that's
like, people for one type of art form, they might not necessarily appreciate your other.
Right.
That's
Interesting.
And I've heard of that like commonly in like the comedy scene too. Like they're like, what? You're a baker. There's no way you're funny. And it's like, what? Like
I don't know, man. The motherfuckers like that have never been in a kitchen.
That's what. Yeah, exactly. Like that's how
how you cope. That's how you get by.
Music. That's also another like music.
Yeah.
Like
good point.
Music
good point, right.
I know some comedians who are amazing musicians. Like, there's a lot of people who have multiple, like, arts under their, like, many artistic feathers in their caps.
Yeah. I've seen. There was once. There was somebody that, speaking of that, he brought in over at Bull and Bones, and he used like a soundboard on stage, and it was like he also like comedy night doubles that as like a karaoke. Then he done karaoke afterwards. I could see that, those two like playing well together.
Oh man, I went to an after show after a comedy show that was at a bar that was doing karaoke, and a bunch of the comedians were doing it, and I might go on stage and talk about my penis, but I do not get on stage and sing.
That's fascinating.
I'm just not. I don't have the confidence to do that.
Yeah.
I feel that though. There's a lot that goes into it though. There's a lot that goes into music and singing on stage. You wouldn't catch me generally on like stage other than like doing like a Snide Show or something like that. But I would go up and do comedy. Like as far as like standing up, like I could do, like a podcast and stuff, and stuff like that. But I don't know. It is weird, like stage fright and the way that it works, and different people are so like every every situation is different.
Yeah, that's
The thing that I really liked about Blue Ridge and that got me started was like everybody's like, just go up and tell one joke. Like the expectations from everybody when you're doing an open mic in an encouraging room are very low and they're very supportive.
Oh,
You just
that's so good. Though.
30 seconds. They're like, that was awesome.
Are you going to the show Saturday night?
I don't think I am. I reached out to a bunch of the comedians that are my friends that haven't done the competition before to kind of let them know what to expect and give them a couple of tips that I picked up. Because you're talking about the comedy knockout.
Yeah.
It was like a March Madness minute-to-minute elimination tournament.
And that sounds like, man, it sounds like it's going to be a good show.
The crazy thing is, so many comedians, it's so much more common now to be like a long form, like either story or joke teller, and try to squeeze a joke into a minute can be a real challenge for some people.
You wouldn't catch me up there doing it, but I mean, to watch it though, I'm sure it'll be interesting.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
The storytellers, like it's like I could see where a storyteller would have a harder time with like a minute constraint there.
Yeah.
It's like if you're get one really good laugh in that minute, it's got to be at the end, and it's got to be a really, really good laugh.
Yeah, it's the punchline.
Pick it up, and you get that punch. Yeah. Yeah, I'm like a rabbit. I'm just like constantly trying to get laughs.
So, have you had any like particularly memorable shows that come to mind?
Well, I won the knockout competition last year.
Wow.
Nice.
And
Fuck I don't doubt that, man.
2.5 months. But my jokes are so short, I ended up having to combine them.
Whoa.
Jokes together to fill the minute.
Interesting.
It was a surprise. And I've had a lot of memorable shows because I haven't done that many. I don't like promote myself a lot. Like there's a lot of people who are very business minded in comedy who are like, they know who the promoters are, they know who to talk to, they want to try to get on shows. Like you guys reached out to me and I appreciate it because I don't have the confidence to be like, hey, you guys should put me on a show. Like I
said, it was just a given. It was like a given. It was like, oh yeah, this guy, yeah.
Thank you.
And again, we're like, and that's why this whole thing is Snide Studios, because it's like, and this is like what I was telling them with talking with Jordan and Zach about, and Catherine, like all these folks, and now yourself, Sage, like like it's my vision. I'm more a filmmaker. Like that's more my thing. Everything in entertainment kind of interests me, but my big thing is like to make my thing happen, especially in this area. It's like you got to really get a lot of talent behind you. You got to hobnob with everybody. You got to, and that's a hard thing. That's something I have trouble with, and that's why I've drafted my brother here because he's more the social butterfly than I am. Like,
yeah, in most situations, I am like severely antisocial.
It's hard to break out of. It's hard to break out of.
So, see, that's one problem I generally haven't had. There's always something generally to talk about.
Oh, I'm confronted. I'm okay, but I really try to avoid people at all costs, which is hard in town.
That's definitely more of Cor. Yeah, that's Cor on that. That's why he's definitely the hermit. That's for
historically, I'm coming out of my cave too, though. But I'll pull folks like you along with us, Joe, because it's again like a lot of comedians also have other like interests and stuff, whether it's writing or performance and stuff, and like a big thing with filmmaking now is just like the multimedia aspect of it, like and like this next generation, they're bored of movies, man. There's something about this next generation. They don't like movies and shit, you know? So it's like, you got, like, I'm trying to figure things out, trying to connect all these people and shit, man. And, like, just whatever I can do to, like, help further other people along in this. Cause I know that's what's gonna, that's every success story. That's what like, one of the big things is like connecting with folks, man. And like, so like, again, you know, so what is your process like
For writing?
Yeah. Writing and performing.
Well, for writing, it's like I almost, it's like I think in one-liners a lot of times, or I'll see something.
Like your aptitude. Like that's just...
Most of my jokes are one-liners,
yeah,
which is easy to come up with, but it's very hard to fill time.
That's what I've heard from like folks like you, like Mitch Hedberg, like Dave Attell. I don't want to like, you know, some people have like a mixed reaction to like being compared to other people, but those are the two like, of course. But I'd say you're more towards the David Attell end of the spectrum, just from my own what I've seen of you, and it's like that's what they say, or you know, would say is like that like they kind of have a natural like aptitude for it. That's just how they think, is in those one-liners, but that the difficulty is the quantity of it and then flowing it and all that stuff, you know, which
it took me a long time to put together like 10 minutes, and not because I didn't have 10 minutes of material, but I want there to be like a thread. Like I want there to be like a through line that you can follow as I'm telling jokes, instead of it just being like random topics coming up. Because like somebody like Stephen Wright was very random. Like he would just kind of he would just random topics one after another. Like there would be connected things that were chunks, but for me, I want to have callbacks. You know, I want to reward someone for paying attention earlier. You know, that kind of stuff.
Fuck yeah.
I love comedy. I've loved comedy my whole life, and I never thought I would be able to do it. I'm just glad I live in a place that's rural enough that I qualify.
Sure, yeah, because and that was something I've talked to a few of y'all about too. Is just, you know, part of my struggle with like between like the rural versus suburbia versus like the more urban areas, and like my fear with the vastly more urban areas is just like getting washed out. You know, if I go to a place like Portland, you know, I'm one of a many, you know, but around here, like, you know, I'm, you know, like I was saying to you earlier, Joe, you're a commodity, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that is true. That is true. Like
The
a
thing
Swiss
too,
Army knife.
with the way my personality is, if I'm in a big city, there are people who feel like they deserve a spot, and their egos and their personalities will just kind of push me to the side because I'm not going to fight. I don't feel like I deserve anything really. You know, like I've been doing comedy for a very short time. You know, there's a lot of funny people out there. There's people who've been doing this for a lot longer than I have. So I just kind of, I don't think I'm humble. I think I just have really low self-esteem.
Well, a mix of that and like you think like seniority like should take over at that point. Like
Absolutely.
like if but like but then also like there's, you know, everybody deserves a chance, you know?
Sure.
Like
yeah.
and that is one thing that I do love about like what we do on this like podcast. Like you know, everybody can get their stuff out there. You know,
It's
like
democratized, but it's also again like comedy. It's a meritocracy, you know, as far as just like it's by talent, you know, and again merit. You know, there's talent in there, there's skill in there, there's experience in there, which goes with the seniority, of course. But yeah. I mean, when it comes to payment, I'd say seniority's a big thing. But you know, like I don't know, man. I mean, if y'all listen to this shit, y'all know I'm a fucking socialist. So I think everyone deserves an equal opportunity, obviously. So
that is true though. Everybody deserves a chance. You know?
but
I've seen some people perform that. I was like, okay, that was their opportunity. They probably shouldn't get any more.
I mean,
I followed this guy. I followed this guy who had a lot of anti-Semitic material at a really dark show. He was not Jewish, and he was talking about all kinds of
yeah.
about the Hasidic Jews in New York, and I was just I had to follow this guy.
I mean, yeah.
And I just said, "Oh, I'm Jewish," and everybody laughed really hard for a very long time because the tension had been like the racial tension he had created by talking about the Jews.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I came on, I'm like, "A Jew," and they're just like,
just like yeah, like and yeah, those opportunities should be, you know, hopefully someone was taking names, you know, taking Instagram handles and shit. Just be like clipping that shit, and be like, hey, can we not give this guy a platform anymore? Literally, don't
What's
let him.
great is I got booked on another show to follow that guy specifically,
Whoa.
knowing he was going to do all that Jewish material, and I wasn't able to do the show. And a friend of mine took the spot instead and said that when the guy went up, he just ate shit the whole time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wish I would have been there.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
That is true.
If you have somebody go on stage and start talking about a race that they're not part of, that gets really uncomfortable pretty fast.
Exactly. That's why, you know, well, I don't want to spoil anything with the 420 show, but, you know, yeah, like, yeah. No, I wouldn't say okay to everybody. Folks, you'll have to be there to know. There are 15 tickets left. So...
Oh, 15 Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, I meant to tell you that earlier. Yeah.
Nice.
I met with them earlier today. Yeah. So.
Oh, did you? Oh, we need to get together on that. Dang it.
Well, it was I was getting headshots, and they also had some free time. So, but yeah. So it's shit's looking good. You know, I mean, this time we had more time ahead to advertise and everything, so it's and this will be clipped down, and future folks watching this on YouTube, if it's before 420, $20 now pre-order. You go to beardancemarket.com. You'll find it eventually. The Happy Skunk Room on Facebook.
It'll redirect you to Simple Ticks, which is just really It is like in the name, like I viewed like the website, super simple to use.
Nice. We'll have to look into that in the future.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah. What was that, Joe?
I'm gonna make some kind of brownies or something for the event.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. If you're able to, sir, if you're able to, and you know, I can knock you some bucks as well. Some goody good stuff and some good stuff, some regular good stuff, if you're able to.
You want licorice in them?
Whoa, what?
I'm sorry.
the with good and plenty.
Good and plenty.
Brownies would be pretty bomb, actually. I like licorice.
You are
I'm
one
not
of a kind, Joe. You're one of a kind. We're glad to have you.
I was like, I'll put some licorice in those fuckers. That's not making them good. I'm sorry.
Make it less good.
Some not so good stuff. Some not so good stuff.
Some mustard brownies.
Mustard brownies.
Yo. We'll talk about flavors later. We'll talk about flavors.
Joe, I'm interested. Joe, I'm interested in your palate.
Goodness.
Oh man.
So Joe, we've mentioned Stephen Wright. We've mentioned David Tell. We've mentioned Mitch Hedberg. Who specifically, if any of those three, are like just out of all the comedians, like, you know, because like you said, you grew up on this shit. Who would you say are your biggest influences?
Growing up, my favorite comedian was Rodney Dangerfield.
No respect. No respect, I tell you.
Don Rickles.
Oh fuck yeah! I could see it now, dude. How did I not see that? How did I not see that? Like, yeah, dude, totally. I could see.
And
that.
Norm Macdonald. Norm Macdonald's my favorite comedian.
Hey, yeah. I miss that guy.
Yeah. True comedy genius. I think all of the three that I mentioned were comedy geniuses.
Yeah, all of them.
Rest in peace.
I'm sure they're on. They not like on my specific, but I know like as far as like they're definitely in the Hall of Fame for sure. Like the if there was a comedy Rushmore.
Yup. Absolutely. Yeah, legends, absolutely.
But I still I listen to old comedy all the time. Like I was listening to Henny Youngman and Milton Berle yesterday.
Wow, homie, you are digging in the crates. I don't think I've listened to more than like a few minutes of either of those folks, but I know they're again just legends, but lesser known for sure.
Yeah, neither one of those
old
things
jokes.
me, but that don't mean anything.
Some of those old jokes are just ridiculous. Some of them are very dated. Like I have an encyclopedia. No, it's not an encyclopedia. I'm sorry. It's a thesaurus of humor.
Whoa. Yeah. Does it
1940.
translate for now? Does it translate modern? Like this is the.
It does. Some of it's really funny, and some of it's pretty racist.
Like, can you believe they're letting them in the same diner now? Can you believe? It's like, wow.
There's like a joke about a woman who went on a safari in Africa and she was eaten by a cannibal, and her brother's like, well, she always looked good in black. And it's like stuff like that.
Whoa, that is so. That's only funny now, like nervous funny. That's like, I need to get away right now. I just laugh and leave. Like, that's. Wow. That's, wow, that passed. Wow.
It was 1940. Africa was still a continent of mystery.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, context. Absolutely. I'm willing to concede context.
What was like segregation ended like 25 years after that. Like
Yeah.
that's when like
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. That is crazy.
The word Negro is in the book a bit.
Right. Yeah. Goodness.
But I'm interested though. Just curious. Like you said, like you were in started doing comedy like a little over a year ago. Joe, when did you start baking?
Oh, I've been baking for like a decade and a half, 15 years. Went to pastry school 11 years ago.
Legit.
Like I was working in kitchens already, and I just started making cheesecakes on the side. And I had dropped out of culinary school before that, and I decided to go back to a different school and learn pastry. So I learned like all the techniques and how to do, like bread and all the French fancy stuff that nobody cares about.
Wow.
I love stuff. I took culinary in high school, but I had an interest in it. That's awesome.
Yeah, I took culinary in high school as well, and it was like such a bullshit class. Like the teacher would tell people like, "We're making a pie," and they would like buy a pre-made pie crust and then just make my apple pie. And I was like, "Can I make one from scratch?" And she's like, "Absolutely." And I was the only kid in the class who like made stuff from scratch.
You were like, this passes.
We had a different. I had a different experience. It was like we actually did like cook, and it was like, but we made more like it was like very like Americanized, like things like we're gonna make mac and cheese.
Mm.
All Really, so like which they when they did like the bake sale, we made stuff for like the bake sale, like we made like brownies and stuff like that.
Like actually, like yeah, like an active kind of. But man, so like I want to hear more about like did you have any crazy times in pastry school like that? I don't know, informed your comedic career later?
Oh, I mean, like I was the only person in class who cut myself. It's like a pastry class, but I still managed to cut myself with a knife. And I turned on a mixer, like I plugged it in, not knowing it was on, and everything inside just flew everywhere. Like it was a lot of comedy of errors.
Mm.
And like I was the class clown in high school and all that kind of stuff too. Like I'm always trying to make people laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's another through line I've noticed with comedians.
Yeah, I got lucky. Like when I was in high school, I used to call up this AM talk radio show that was about wrestling.
Oh shit, yeah.
And I started listening to the show that was on after it. It was about movies and music and like TV and stuff. And I
Yeah.
would call them, and then I became such a regular caller. They invited me to do segments over the phone.
Wow. I thought this was going to go in the other direction where you were like prank calling them.
Well, I ended up, they brought me in as an intern, and then I started working for the station. So I did that. That's what I did in high school. And I did used to prank some of the other people. I would call from other rooms and do
Wow.
voice when shows that were on live, and just there were a couple of people who had shows. There was a guy who had a show. His name was Richard Simmons, not the exercise
Of
guy.
course that's
He had weird speech impediment, and whenever he would mess anything up, he'd say Scooby Doo. Like if he screwed something up on air, he'd be like, "Oh, Scooby Doo." His whole show was commercials, because what he would do all day is go around to businesses in Miami and say, "Hey, do you want to have ad space on my radio show?" And he would get them to give him money, and he would air his whole show was an hour of commercials, and then he would do like the weather and the news, and that was it.
dude, that's kind of
So
genius. So you fuck with him?
yeah, yeah,
That's
he was
awesome.
a goofy dude.
Yoinks.
And he was on 5 nights a week. So his show 5 nights a week was just an hour of commercials. But I think he made pretty good money off of people.
Wow. I wonder how like what the demographic was like if you or if he even had any listeners to the. I mean, does AM track? Do they track like
Every night at 11 p.m. for an hour. It was. He would have some callers. There's people in South Florida who are like famous for being radio callers, and they're like people who like don't have jobs, and some of them can't work, and they just become like personalities on the radio, kind of.
Yeah.
I think I was doing that before they brought me in.
Well, there's the I know, I kind of know what you're talking about,
So you have your regulars.
Right.
calling, that's crazy. They're working for like AM. That I don't. I kind of, and this is gonna sound like kind of jokes gonna be kind of funny, but like I don't know why I always kind of had like a fear of like AM radio.
Whoa.
Spooky to me.
AM radio spooky. That's
Yeah.
Let
Which
me
it could have been.
I wonder if that's like a fear, you know? Like
Yeah,
let me
maybe.
see if that's like a legit fear. Like
I would be
The
interested.
the station that I worked for at the time was brokered. So like if you guys were like, "Hey, we have an idea for a radio show," you could go there and they would work out a contract with you, and they'd be like, "All right, for $40 an hour, you can use all of our production studios and we'll air your show." And people would pay to have stuff on the air.
wow.
And so he paid like to be there or from 11 to 12.
Yeah, so Richard Simmons, let's say it was $40 an hour. So he paid for 5 nights a week, $200 to be on the radio, to make thousands and thousands of dollars off of unsuspecting business owners that he's ripping off by being like, "Do you want a commercial on the radio?" And they're like, "Absolutely." And then it's just some weird, obscure thing that's in a block of 1,000 commercials.
Joe, I'm not quite sure of the intent of your story, but you're giving me business ideas.
Hey, it's a new day.
Like maybe I can, now I'm wondering, like, maybe I can take out some of these edited down episodes, throw them out on, like, see if that gets any followers or some shit.
You got to move with the times. I've got an OnlyFans page.
Yo, I've considered. I've considered. That's you're a step ahead. You're a step ahead of the rest, Joe, and that's why I think you're a success in this. You've got a bit of that 20th century kind of, not mindset. No, because the mindset's 21st century if you're on OnlyFans, but some sensibilities, perhaps some 20th century sensibilities. You're
subscribers.
Well, what are you putting out there? Because there's a certain.
My page is onlyfans.com/masturbating.
See, and what I'm thinking is you're going to be like, I don't know, like sticking your dick in cupcakes or like, smoshing it with your toes. You're like stepping in some cupcakes and shit.
I was going for a non-sexual cooking page.
I don't know. I think you got to do something in there, man. You got to show off some shoulder hair or something, man. You got to stick your dick in something sometimes. Just sometimes. It's not like a main thing.
Without a shirt or something like. So.
Yes, exactly. There you go.
Like really create something niche and call it like the peanut butter jar, like create a different page and the picture of like a peanut butter jar with a big hole in it.
That's your alternate page. The peanut butter jar.
Well, that wraps up just about all the questions I have here. Funny enough, but just, is there any advice you'd like to give anyone out there?
If you want to do comedy or something that you've always wanted to do, find a way to do it. Don't force yourself to do it in a way that you're super uncomfortable. Find a way to do it in a way that makes you happy. Because I think if I would have forced myself to try to do comedy at a different time, like when I was younger in a different place like South Florida, it would not have gone the same way that this has worked out for me.
Wonderful, man. That hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Fuck yeah, man.
Like, follow your dreams, but don't be stupid about it.
Exactly, dude. And that's, dude, that is right in line. You are philosophically aligned with us, I think. You are, a perfect addition to Snide Studios here, man. So, without further ado, are we ready to take a little dip into some Topical Punch?
Absolutely.
Cool. All right, so let's see what we got here. First here, a ball python has been found inside a U-Haul truck coming from WSLS
Ry showed up inside a U-Haul truck in Henrico, curled up on the passenger side door. Whoa, look at that. A ball python.
Okay, so the field manager who found it immediately called Virginia's Wildlife Management and Control, and they were able to help. Oh, they look happy about it, too. They say it was actually in pretty bad condition, and they stayed up all night to help it survive.
Wildlife Management says that ball pythons are actually non-venomous and harmless and are often bought as pets. I don't care. That mug was in my vehicle.
Just like a snake.
I don't care.
That's why you're like, oh yeah, I'll stand here and hold it because it's not going to hurt you.
Yeah, at least
Do you think that's the worker, or is that the truck driver holding it all happily like that?
no idea.
Could be either one.
But all I know is we've mentioned crocodiles and
Yes.
snakes and I'm wondering,
Lizards, oh my.
yeah, I'm wondering what else is going to show up and if I'm going to show up the next hour if that's the case.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
He's a pussy.
Yeah. They just said it was harmless.
Often, but
They just said it was
he's like,
harmless.
if you guys keep showing pictures of reptiles, I'm gonna leave.
You can't even take a picture of it. Joe, does that give you Florida vibes right there? Florida vibes?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, nobody would have called the cops in Florida. They
Yeah.
would have just got a new pet snake. It would have been or dinner. Like it would have gone either way.
Yeah, it could have been either way.
That's how you know that the Garden of Eden was not in South Florida. Because if somebody would have seen a snake, they just would have eaten it.
Homie. Wait, is that yours? Is that yours? Is that a quote?
No. And it's originally about Louisiana.
Yo, dude, that's so funny. That's so funny.
But that's in
That's
Florida.
so true.
We're swamp people. We're swamp people in South Florida. I was adjacent to the Everglades.
Oh wow, yeah. I bet that it seems like I haven't ever been, but it seems like it'd be really beautiful.
It is, and it's vast. So it's not like you go out there. I mean, you see all kinds of wildlife, but
Yeah.
like those pythons are out there because people get them as pets, and then when they get to a certain size, they just dump them, and then
It's sad.
like anything that's dumped out there will just eat whatever it can and get huge.
Yeah, if it's lucky, man. If it's like in the.
It gets eaten.
Because sometimes, when they're too, they can't really fend for themselves every now and then. But yeah, like, and then it wreaks its revenge on the neighborhood, man. From Michael Bay next summer.
What a small snake that was in the video.
It really was. I mean, it was sad, man. It was sad.
Really, like, cause with like snakes, how big they are, about how far like their hands are separated.
Mm-hmm.
His hands were like right there. Like that was like smaller than that was like about as long as Piper. Like
I know, man. It was sad. There's a certain word for when, like an animal gets as big as its environment allows.
oh yeah. That,
I thought you were going to say something else, and I started laughing. I thought you were going to say, there's a word for when a snake is thicker than it is long.
What is what's the word for that?
A chode.
Say that again.
yeah.
A chode.
We'll see what kind of graphic we can get away with that. So yeah, it's to nerd out here for a second. Science alert is indeterminate growth. So it's it only gets as big as its environment allows. Like koi, man, koi fish can get like fucking huge, dude. Like, or they can be like teeny tiny little in a bowl. It's just like it depends on whatever it's in and how much food it gets and shit. So
I have growth on my back right now.
do what?
I said I have an indeterminate growth on my back.
That's
I'll show
so
you guys
good.
at the first show. That's my closer.
Yeah, anything here, man, you roll with it. And I could always, in the YouTube edit, I'll clean up the punchlines. It'll timing will be a little better and shit. With the Skype call, I can't wait to see, because again, my vision is to all this to be live. That's what I want to get to the point where I have enough funding to be able to do this shit live and tour around the area, and then once that's done, like once we've exhausted this area, start, taking it out on the road if, if we have the audience. If not, just roll on to the next project. But yeah, they mentioned this earlier, so I should have played this one first, but I actually didn't prep any of these stories ahead of time.
But now what he's talking about, he's like, we've seen alligators and blah, blah.
Let's see how scared he gets in this one.
All right, so most people in their attic have old clothes and those holiday decorations from way back in the day, and maybe some little creatures like mice.
Yeah, maybe a bat, whatever. But one man in North Carolina just couldn't believe his eyes.
You guys didn't bury the lead. It was in the title.
Not just in the house, but in the attic. Check this out. There's an inspector, Dean Brown. He found a live 8-foot-long gator in the attic of a house he was inspecting this week.
Just a little gator.
Yeah,
8 feet.
Yeah.
So at first, he thought it was a fake stuffed gator, as many of us would. So he continued doing his job, then looked back and realized it was moving and breathing.
But once I shined my flashlight on his head, his eyes did open and give me a wink, let me know I'm alive.
Gave him a wink.
Yeah, I bet he found out that he was alive too, the inspector. A wink. Yeah. Oh, hey. Workers were evacuated from the home and animal control was called in. Brown thinks the gator may have gotten in the home through a door that was left open over the weekend. But in the house is one thing, in the attic is another.
And it looks like it. It looks like a stuffed animal.
It looks very fake.
Like when you hear it, but you see the picture.
Can't really tell how big it is. Like in one picture, it looked. Oh, so yeah. So not the smallest thing, man.
Woo! Alligator in the attic sounds like a kid's book.
It's a Goosebumps, man. That sounds like a Goosebumps.
Or it could be like a folk band.
Oh, that's another good call. Yeah, alligator in an attic. We're just alligator.
Or an old country song.
Alligator in an attic. Alligator in an attic. It's an alligator in an attic. I cannot believe it. I don't know. So yeah, more Florida vibes.
Oh, absolutely. The gator brings back lots. I have a gator head at home. It's a small one.
Ooh.
Not proud of it, but I've got it.
That's legit. That's morbid.
They're like everywhere down there, though.
I mean, they're delicious, but I don't think the one that I got the head of was made for food.
Yeah, the jerky's really good. Gator jerky.
It's honorary though. When I left Florida, they gave me that alligator head and produced a mixtape.
Oh my god!
You have to let people know you're from Florida.
Yeah, man. Who's the dude with the braids? He's always hanging with Andy Milonakis. They made Spring Breakers about.
The one with James Franco.
Yeah.
Brain break.
Yeah.
Brain break forever.
Yeah. So, just a little bit more white trash here for you folks.
And even many students say vaping is one of the biggest problems inside local high schools. Now, some Northern Virginia schools are trying something to deter students. They're installing vape detecting devices called fly sense, as in a fly on the wall. They're typically placed in bathrooms or locker rooms where they can detect vape smoke, which causes an alert through an app and then is sent to school administrators or security.
In 21 years as a principal, this is probably one of the biggest problems I've seen that we've had to deal with. It's an addictive problem. Kids need to leave class to hit their vape. Or, Julie, we've had kids in class trying to vape in class.
School leaders say these detectors have highlighted the problem, but the challenge right now is keeping up with all of the alerts they're getting.
She's not even inhaling. She wasn't even inhaling.
You're not supposed to. Dangerous. Like cigars.
I know. I'm fucking around.
Okay. Oh, okay. It's like, I know he can't be serious. I was like, because didn't you tell me that? I was like, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that it's a silent alarm. Why wouldn't they make something loud, something that gets people's attention, maybe scares them away from wanting to do it, something like a vape?
At least a
They
beep
don't
or
understand
something.
kids. They don't understand kids because yeah, that's such a good point. Because kids aren't like they need that immediate like consequence. Like they need that.
You have to have that shit moment.
Yes, exactly. Well, we didn't want it to be too disruptive.
We didn't want to take away from kids that are in class. But like at least a little like ding, like not a ding or like a butt, like something, like
Yeah.
just like I mean some type of
I
noise.
think I thought a vape whistle was a good term.
Wonderful, man. This chemistry is perfect, dude. I can't wait to and if anyone out there is loving this as much as I am, get to fucking Christiansburg, get to Bear Dance Market April 20th, and fucking bring well, if you're paying at the door, $25. Pre-order.
25 at the door. Pre-sale, pre-order, yeah, 20.
We're also going to be, so Joe's going to be, so the stand-up, we got like an hour of stand-up as a warm-up. We got Joe Bridges. We got Kenny Rooster. We got fucking Sage DeLong. We got fucking after that Topical Punch. We got maybe a little surprise in there. We got Rye 5. Fucking top 5 cannabis strains from us and our guests.
Yeah, exactly.
Followed up with, if there's time, if you want to stick around, we can hit up the raffle then, and then Snide Cinema. And you heard me right, a raffle. With your ticket, you get a coupon. A coupon. It gets you.
What's the raffle for?
Fucking your ticket price back on a basket of cannabis, lovely cannabis products, CBD products. To clarify, folks. Maybe a little Delta 8 in there. We'll see. And. Yeah. Back to the Snide Cinema. Reefer Madness, the classic. And then, y'all, you've had a full evening, man. You've had a full evening. For fucking $20. $20.
I had a really fun interaction with Kenny Rooster online.
Yes, please let me hear it.
All right, so you mentioned that they might be on the show. And Catherine Rogue, a mutual friend of ours, is a big fan of Kenny's. Yes. The episode of the show that they did you guys did at the Skunk Lounge, Kenny was in her top 5 for favorite comedians.
Yep.
So I was like, I got Kenny.
Yep.
So I looked up Kenny and I sent Kenny a request on Instagram to follow. They accepted and followed me back. And I wanted to send them a message to break the ice. And I was trying to figure out what to say. And then they had posted something because they work as a drag king.
Mm-hmm.
And the picture of them working as a drag king was pretty revealing. And I can clearly see her nipple. And so I sent her a message and I said, I wanted to reach out and break the ice because I understand we might be on a show together. And I didn't know how to introduce myself. And then I saw that picture of your nipple, and I feel like we're already acquainted. So then I sent her a picture of my nipple. And I said, I'll see you in April. And that was, that's the message that I sent to Kenny Rooster. And they responded, this is the most chaotic message I've ever received. And they're looking to meeting me. So it's going to be a good time.
Good. Okay. Good.
Yeah, I was like, oh, God,
there's two ways I could go after that. I was like,
yeah, but
I never sent anybody a picture of my nipple. Like, not even my wife.
Yo, that's so. Oh man, I'm so glad y'all hit it off because that's and that's the thing with Snide Studios. Fucking, the key word, and all this irreverent, folks. Because that's comedy, man. That's comedy. And obviously everyone should have their boundaries and everything. Everyone's able to have their reactions to anything, but it's a chaotic world that we live in. Comedy is keying in on that chaos, and Joe, you are an agent of chaos, and I'm glad to have you along for the ride.
Thank you. I try to ride that line of just like unacceptable but still funny.
Right on. Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do here, yeah, awesome. But again, this has been wonderful. Please tell the folks at home where they can find more of you, sir.
Oh, I'm on social media, Instagram, and where else? TikTok, I guess. I'm not very active on TikTok because I'm, almost 40. But at Joe's Not Joking. And I'm also, if you want to see my baked goods, I'm at Joe the Baker on Facebook, and you can see all these delicious cheesecakes, and they might be available to the public too. I'm a very elusive guy. I really appreciate you guys reaching out to me because I'm like almost secretive about everything.
Really?
But I don't have a problem exposing myself, as you guys will see on stage.
Well, it's all about perspective. It's all because we came in, and that's what I've talked to about with some of this stuff. Before I took the the full dive into this, where I can tell you, again, with me being a secretive person. I mean, Cornelius isn't even my real name. My real name is Corey. But it's we're all kind of doing like a little persona here. We're all building a little mythology. We're all and so I came in on your life via the comedy side of your identity. It's kind of wicked when you think about it. It's almost like we're in like a secret society or something.
Yeah, and I have a persona thing. I'm not even Jewish.
Yo, that would be whack. That would be so whack. I would have to be like, okay, well now art, there is supposed to be truth in art, and Joe, you're really cool, but I think you need help. No, just
like you guys have heard my joke about the Holocaust. I have a Holocaust joke about my wife's grandmother.
Yes. One of my friends who happens to be Jewish, I think she fell in love with your comedy at that moment, like, because it rocked her world.
That my wife's grandmother is a Holocaust survivor from Auschwitz.
Yeah, folks. So
there's a lot of truth in comedy.
yes, folks. So. It's I'm not going to get into the philosophy of it and all, but again, we're very ideologically aligned and philosophically aligned, and I mean that's again why I get away with some of the making fun of cracker shit, because it's that's I play it up a little bit, the honky shit and the white trash shit, I came from the trailer park. I have a perspective of my own, and it's I'm aware of the atrocities of my people, and I'm trying to make up for it by playing the heel and being again trying to network this community and fucking elevate folks and make some art with y'all, And yeah, that's that. So that's the way the cookie crumbles tonight on the Snide Show. Any last words, folks?
Would you like to hear? Would you like to hear a joke that I wrote recently?
Please,
Yes.
anytime.
So I've lived here in the South now for like 8 years, and it's a really cool place. But there's a really strange pride around the history that you guys have here.
Yeah.
Even though it's nice that there's like an acknowledgement of some of the ugliness. Like you can go and there will be a bench that's dedicated to an escaped slave, and there's like a plaque that tells his story. And that bench is in a park that's named after the guy who caught and lynched him.
Fuck, man. I know. It's awful. Talk about truth in art. Man, we did a whole video back in the day fucking trolling Pulaski for that shit. Like, it was like, yeah. Oh my god, yeah. Oh my god, yeah. Because it's so weird. It's so weird. It's so weird. Like, and, yeah, like that's so funny. That's so funny. Like that, yeah. Joe, thank you again. Thank you again, man.
It's going to be a fun show on the 20th.
Yeah, I do want to say just to from me as well, man. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Having you on, man. That's awesome.
Fuck yeah. Well, again, Joe's not joking. Ry the Ry and Corey the Curator signing off, and stay snide.
Oh.